The Bondi Rats is a motorcycle club at Ios Nikolaos in Cyprus. It's made up of military people and their families, bikers, non-bikers, members of the community.
Basically a load of like-minded people that like a good drink in the evenings, and a load of us rode bikes, and we all meet up and we'll go out on ride-outs on the weekends and do what most other bike clubs do.
Didn't really have a role in the Bondi Rats as such. Quite often used to pop over to socialise and whatnot, so I think we all had a common love of a drink or two, so yeah, that was mainly it for me.
To me, the Bondi Rats was more like a extended family from my family away from home. We had a very, very close brotherhood and sisterhood of friends. We all enjoyed going out camping, drinking beer, barbecuing. It's just a fantastic place for like-minded people to get together, hang out, have a good time, and plan trips on motorbikes.
I was in Cyprus for 4 glorious years. I was over there with the MOD. I was meant to be working, but let's face it, I had a 4-year holiday.
Previously, I'd done a big ride with my friend Flynn. We'd ridden from Cyprus to the UK. We'd got a boat to Italy with bikes, and then rode back up north through Italy and over the Alps.
Josh showed me the video of his first trip back from Cyprus to the UK, and it was very inspirational.
The trip came about because Josh popped over one day with this crazy idea, told us all about it, about riding back, the possibility of it. Me and Gaz spoke about it. I think really we spoke about it for about half an hour and decided yes, we were in.
The prep I did for the trip was, well, for starters, my bike didn't have a rear seat on it, so I could take Joe on the back. So I've had to weld on Black Nasty, weld a whole back end onto it, and made a seat unit up, made some panniers that went on the back as well, some metal ones, because I thought that would do the job better. Welded up a rack as well, and then of course, Josh liked the look of the rack, so he wanted one built, so I ended up building his. And then Aggie's like, oh, I like your rack, where'd you get that made? So I ended up making another one.
Even though we were winging it to an extent, we sort of decided on which countries we'd like to tag. We'd meet in Athens, having shipped the bikes there. We'd ride through Greece, then Macedonia, Kosovo, and Montenegro. We'd go into Croatia briefly to then go into Bosnia, then back into Croatia, Slovenia, Italy, through the Alps, and then Austria, Germany, France, Belgium, tagging all the big ones along the way. So that was our rough route, and then a ferry back to Blighty.
Best place I left a rat sticker was in Athens, without a doubt. We were staying in an apartment on about the 5th floor, and the lift had no door. It looked pretty damn dangerous, to be honest, and as we were coming down between the floors, I managed to quickly whack between 3 and 4 floors, quickly whack a sticker between the floors, so I really want to go back to Athens and go and see if that sticker's still there. where is the best place you left a rat sticker?
The best place for me to leave a sticker was the campsite in Macedonia. We tipped up, he said basically pitch your tents over there, then come back for a free shop.
So when we were in Macedonia, we met a few Austrian RVers and they came over to us, they introduced themselves. They gave us some chocolate, and in return for their chocolate I gave them a little bit of a Kendall mint cake. So yeah, just very friendly, very open and welcoming people.
Crossed into Kosovo, and immediately the road surface became really poor. There was potholes half a metre deep that we had to ride around. There was rubble everywhere. There was no lines on the road.
We're in Macedonia and crossed through it, and we're now in Kosovo.
Starting out from Pea in Kosovo that morning, we were advised by a local that our intended border was no longer in use, so we made plans to head to a different one. Somehow I managed to mess up with the sat-nav and ended up taking us to the original crossing point, and effectively wasted the first couple of hours of the day. As it was a dead-end road in the middle of nowhere, the roads were actually really quiet and the scenery was breathtaking. So it turned out to be quite a happy mistake.
We had a little bit of hassle at borders, but only trying to get fleeced for a bit of money and things. Nothing, no aggro really, like antagonistic. Even when somebody shot through a port that wasn't meant to at the checkpoint.
And unfortunately I was being a little bit of a space cadet on that day. My mind wasn't really in the right place, and as a result of that I almost became a fugitive by overshooting the border, shall we say, which resulted in some of the guards running out of their checkpoint, guns waving. Josh and guys were behind laughing. I realised what I'd done almost straight away, so I turned back around, I came through to the checkpoint, crossed legally back into the country, and then we had a bit of a meet up on the right side of the border. Josh and Joe and Gaz asked what happened. There was a little bit of a flash from me when I realised that I'd actually fucked up, but yeah, it was an interesting moment that was.
A real standout moment for me was a road in Montenegro that took us up through the mountains and towards Budvar.
My best roads were in Montenegro, I think, because I didn't know what to expect from that country, and the scenery was fantastic. The roads themselves are a bit potholed, and they can be a bit, you've got to be careful on them. But there was one point, I think, coming into Kotor where we were going up over these mountains, and before we got there, and the roads were twisty and they were really fast, long sweepers. Me and Josh were really opening it up on the bikes and leaning them down, and we had an absolute whale of a time. When we stopped, I saw his face and our faces, we just had massive grins. Sun was coming down, it was just a moment. It was, it was amazing.
You could see the eyes, and the eyes were smiling. We had these big grins on our faces.
had a few misconceptions about certain people in certain countries, but as soon as we started riding through the countries, our misconceptions were completely wrong. The countries were absolutely beautiful, the roads were spectacular, the scenery absolutely stunning, and the people were so friendly. I mean, they were absolutely fantastic people. When we were in Bosnia, we decided to go to the Mostar Bridge, and I was with Josh, and when we were walking around having a bit of an explore, we saw a diver. I think he wanted about 20 quid for him to dive from the top of this bridge into the river below. And I really wanted to see this, so I tried to rally the people around on the bridge to give some money, but I don't even know now if he jumped or not.
By the time we reached Croatia, we'd already been riding for about 5 days, and we'd arranged with our friend Pete that we'd stay with him at his brother's place, hotel apartment. We had a rest day there, and Michael, Pete's brother, took us to a rafting activity centre, and we went rafting, which was fantastic. Even though it's supposed to be a rest day, we spent all day going down rapids, jumping off rocks, going through cave systems, really getting a bit of an adrenaline kick.
The one memory that sticks out the most was probably the one thing that I never thought I would do, and that was the white water rafting in Croatia. The prospect of it when it was first mentioned absolutely terrified me, but being the girl there, I was like, I know the lads are going to want to do this, so I'm just going to have to go along with it. But honestly, it's one of the best things that I've ever done, and to experience that as part of the journey, that made it a fantastic memory for me.
Best memory has got to be, I think, Jo's face as she stood up out of the water after Josh had pulled her in backwards off a boat. She weren't expecting it, and her face, it was freezing cold water, and her face, she couldn't breathe for about a minute. It was brilliant, classic.
My best country was Croatia. Beautiful, beautiful place, and I'd love to go back and see it again someday, especially when we took the coast road north. It was absolutely beautiful. The scenery was just to die for.
The Dalmatian coast in Croatia is probably the best road I've ever ridden. Make that the objective of your trip. Just ride there, just ride straight there, get on the road, ride it, go home, and you won't be disappointed. Apart from some amazing riding, what really stood out for me was the company and the evenings we spent together. And we'd be camping or sitting by the sea or sat up in the mountains somewhere, drinking good wine and beer and eating good food and really unwinding after a hard day's riding.
Aggie most definitely was a space cadet, but that's nothing new because he's always a space cadet. He's just really relaxed and just takes everything in his stride, so he's just such a chilled out character, and I love that about him, to be honest. Makes him really easy to get on with.
The Stelvio Pass was one of the main routes what I was really looking forward to doing on this trip. It's been labelled as one of the best motorcycling routes in Europe. When we came to do it, it was absolutely pissing it down.
The worst memory was definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, going up Stelvio Pass in the rain with loads and loads of cyclists, other vehicles, other bikes, other cars, buses, roadworks. Head down, arms in, eyes shut until we got to the top. I hated it. The most annoying part is when all the lads decided they needed to stop and take a wee. Obviously, being a girl, it's not so easy for me, but being the only girl on the trip posed no problems whatsoever.
Off with each other if we got a bit stressed out with each other. Yeah, you're being out of order or whatever, you've got to go and choke the chicken, and then they'd have to go over and choke the chicken. You just hear that squawk noise, and then that's it, the stress goes. So we had to do that. I had to squeeze it a few times. It was pretty good, and we got loads of people to sign it as well. So.
Our last day of the trip, we rode through France to the ferry terminal at Calais. It was sideways rain, the wind was blowing us about, we could barely see. By the time we got off the bikes at a petrol station to try and warm up and dry off, we were soaked.
Drop everything tomorrow if we could do the same trip again.
Everyone we met were just absolutely outstanding. They were so nice and pleasant.
I would definitely do the trip again.
I'd go again in a heartbeat.